now is the top Democrat on that committee. One of the congressmen who questioned them today, Democratic Congressman Jim Himes of Connecticut. He is the ranking member of the permanent subcommittee on intelligence. Congressman, one of the things I believe you were trying to get at today when I was watching the testimony is, were there discrepancies with what we heard yesterday before some of these messages, or the full kind of record of the messages came out, versus in the wake of them? Do you feel like members of the Senate were misled by either John Ratcliffe or Tulsi Gabbard in their testimony yesterday?
You know, in their testimony yesterday, both of those two said that they didn't recall any discussion on that signal thread of weapons or targets or timing. And lo and behold, this morning when Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlanta releases the actual text string, we see incredible specificity, military time, F-18s launching at this point, weather, good, go, MQ-9 Reapers. Now, that is a degree of specificity that could have gotten our sailors and airmen hurt. And there's a reason why we don't ever publicize that kind of stuff before we put men and women in harm's way. So remember, their answer was, I don't think so, I don't recall. Now, you know, people can judge for themselves how much you should recall those sorts of details over a mere 2-week period. So if I were a senator, yes, I would have some questions about the straightforwardness of the answers that they got yesterday.
You talk about the specificity in the messages themselves. I want to play what we heard from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth earlier today. Take a listen.
There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information.
What's your response to that, which is not just a Hegseth position? We've heard it from several administration officials.
Yeah, of course. Look, there are any number of absolutely bizarre defenses for this outrageous behavior. You just heard one of them, which is, oh gosh, it wasn't that specific. Well, it was specific enough that if the Houthis had known that the attack was coming, that there were F-18s involved, that's a very specific airplane, that MQ-9 Reapers were involved. They've shot those down before. They could have moved their assets in such a way to take down one of our pilots. So they're getting all wrapped up in the axle about exactly how specific these plans were. And oh, by the way, was it classified? You know what? I don't know if it was classified or not. It absolutely should have been classified. Oh, is it a violation of the public record? Folks, you made a catastrophic mistake that could have killed American service people. So what I didn't hear Pete Hegseth say, which frankly is what needs to be said by all of these folks, especially Pete Hegseth, is, oh my God, I made a terrible mistake. I am sorry, and we're going to do a study and an investigation to determine what went wrong. It's never going to happen again, and there will be accountability. All of those things which they would demand of every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine that works for them, they would demand that right off the bat. They haven't yet gotten to any of that. And until they start dealing with this like adults, because it was a very serious mistake, you know, this issue is not going away.
Do you think they will reach that point? And the reason I ask is there's a number of your Republican colleagues who don't often break with the White House on really anything. And while it's somewhat muted, they have made very clear, they're national security Republicans. They're saying, look, this was a problem. It would be great if they could just acknowledge they messed up and move on, which is more than we usually hear from Republicans with this administration. When you talk to them, what are they telling you behind the scenes about efforts to try and get answers or try and have accountability?
Well, again, it's an absolutely bizarre thing. I mean, you know, we can get caught up in the esoterica of what's classified or what's not. But anybody who has raised a toddler, forget about the Secretary of Defense, knows that when the toddler makes a mistake, the toddler says sorry and learns not to do it again. That's both what we do in this country, and it sure as hell is what we do inside the military. And oh, by the way, you know how this issue goes away? If the Secretary of Defense and Mike Waltz stop attacking Jeffrey Goldberg, who did not ask to get onto that signal text, they stop attacking Jeffrey Goldberg, and they start doing what we would demand of 5-year-olds, which is to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, it's not going to happen again, there will be accountability. When they start saying those things, we'll move on to talking about other things.
Yeah, and we'll see if the president makes any steps in that direction. I'd be highly suspect of that happening, but we will certainly be watching in the Oval Office as he speaks right now. Congressman Jim Himes, always appreciate your time, sir. Thank you.